I cooked this giant piece of beef rib, 10 pounds of big bones and lots of meat, smoked on the barbecue.
A big thanks to Bradley Smokers for sponsoring this episode.
As you might know, I live in a rural area with lots of farmers and cows. And one of my neighbors had a beautiful Black Angus breeding bull. Once the bull fulfilled its purpose, well, let's just say I gave it another purpose. And one of the unique features that you get out of it is that you can choose the perfect cut for beef ribs. I'm not talking about some small flat ribs. I'm talking about 10 pounds of beef ribs. Look at this giant. 5 kilograms of bones and meat. This thing is absolutely huge. And I'm going to be smoking this on the new Bradley smoker. For my preparations, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to put on some mustard because I want a nice bark. And that mustard is going to be my binder. I'm going to rub that in, get a thin layer of that mustard on all sides of the beef ribs. And for seasoning, I'll be using the PITMASTERX beef seasoning. And I'm going to sprinkle on a nice thick layer because I got lots of meat. And that little bit of seasoning on the outside has got to do a lot of work. Now the PITMASTERX seasoning is very powerful in its flavor, but still I'm going to use quite a lot of it. Of course I'm going to season all sides of it. That looks pretty amazing. A big chunk of meat, all seasoned up, ready to go on the smoker. And this is kind of exciting because I got the new Raven smoker here with me. It's sitting on the Bradley smoker table, which is freaking awesome. I just put it together. But the cool thing is that this is a small tabletop smoker. And that means you can put this thing anywhere you want. It's so portable, it's so small, yet it still has a lot of capacity. Now I already preheated this and now we're going to set it up for smoking. Since I already preheated it, I'm going to put some hot water in the water tray. And that sits underneath here. You got a water tray, you got a grease dripping tray. So that goes underneath. This is the cartridge to put the smoke wood in. I'm going to put it upside down and I'm going to load it up with these hockey pucks. And they're basically hockey pucks made of smoke wood. Now, this is cherry, but the cool thing is that you can just do it with different types of flavor because this is hickory. And I'm going to load it up with cherry and hickory. Of course, there are many flavors available and you can choose whatever you like. But I think for these beautiful beef ribs, this is a great combination. This now goes back into the smoker. There we go, the cartridges are set. I can now close the lid. And on this display right here, built into the door, I can now set the timer of the amount that I want to smoke. But before I'm going to do that, I'm going to place in the beef ribs. I'm only going to leave in one tray that I'm going to need for the beef ribs. The beef ribs go onto the tray. The size of the beef ribs is enormous, but it easily fits in the tray. Of course, I want to keep track of the temperature. So I'm going to put in some thermometer probes. I'm going to stick one into the thickest part of the beef ribs, right in the center. And then one in the thinner part of the beef ribs. There we go, all the way down. Now I'm going to slide the rack in, connect the temperature probes, close the door. I'm going to use the 10 hours maximum time that you can heat the Raven in. And then I'm going to set the smoke timer. I'm going to set the time of smoke that we're going to use to about 4 hours. Of course, I'm going to check to see in the meantime if it had enough smoke. It's now feeding, and what that does is basically it's scooping one of the hockey pucks into the ignition chamber and smoking it there. You can actually see the hockey pucks here, and it's starting to do its job. And well, basically, now we wait. You see, one of the main features of the Raven smoker is that it's a set it and forget it barbecue, and you can do other stuff in the meantime. You can keep track of your temperatures and times on the app, and it executes the job to perfection. You got consistent smoke, you got consistent temperatures, no need to work at it, to stand by it, to check every 5 minutes, put in another log, put in some more charcoal. It's a convenience style smoker that gives you perfect results every time. We got 1 minute left on the smoking section. The smoking timer is done. Let's take a look. Wow, look at that beautiful bark. This is a really good look. For an electric base smoker doing the first part of the cook, well, this is an exceptionally good look. I really like how the color developed. I really like how the bark set on the outside of the beef. The meat is starting to pull away from the bones, I don't believe we need to add more smoke, but I'm going to raise up the temperature a little bit. We got a lot of fat here in between and a lot of fat in the meat, and I want that to render down as much as possible. So I'm going to set the temperature to 140 degrees Celsius core temperature. I think we're going to need somewhere around 5 hours to get this done. And now we can just let it go without adding more smoke. And the reason why I stopped smoking is because normally with a core temperature around 70 degrees, you're just going to have enough smoke flavor. If you then add more smoke flavor, it's going to become sour and people are going to experience an over smoked flavor. And that's something that I don't want. I just got the notification from the app that one of my probes gave the signal that the beef ribs are ready. Now one didn't. It's a good moment to check to see what the rest is like. So we're gonna take a thermometer and start probing it for doneness. How soft does it feel? Is it like butter? Is there a lot of resistance? And I feel that some parts are so super soft that it's just, look at that. That is just ridiculous. The amount of jiggle, that is plenty soft, because there's one more step we gotta take. One more step, which is important. What a beauty. Oh, let's not drop the bones. That is amazing. The reason that I like to probe when it's not completely finished yet, because I set the alarms to 94 degrees Celsius, which is in between brisket temperatures and almost pulled beef. So I wanted to go in early, probe it with my thermometer and figure out if it's soft already. Now part of it is soft, mostly of it. But we still need to let this rest. And for the rest, I want to wrap it in aluminum foil. And by wrapping it in aluminum foil, you're going to enclose all of that heat. So it's going to continue to cook. So that little bit of extra cooking is going to make sure that we get a beautiful, soft and tender and juicy beef rib. Now let me show you why I like this smoker so much. That's because we got our water and dripping tray. This catches the grease, but the grease is so clear that it's basically just beef tallow. Pour a little bit of it on the beef ribs. And of course you're going to save the rest. This is basically a beef tallow maker when you're smoking beef ribs like this. Now let's keep on wrapping and let it rest for at least an hour. Preferably 2 or 4. All right, let's get this out. The big advantage of letting it properly rest is that you can actually pick it up again. Wow. That looks really, really good. All right, there we go. That is hard as a rock. Talking about a crust. That's going to require, that's it. That is tough. And then it is soft again. It's like having bipolar beef ribs. Oh no! It toppled straight over. See how much the fat rendered out? It turned into a harmonica. Maybe if I turn it upside down, you can see it a little bit better. Whoa! I'll stop playing with my food and I'll take a bite out of it. Here we go. Oh wow, this is seriously good. Let me be real, this is not the perfect cut. I've got that fat and it's a lot of fat. I rendered it down as much as possible, but it's just so impressive and I like it so much. And it tastes so good. I got some beautiful rendered out beef and it tastes so delicious. Well seasoned, tears right off, you can pull it apart and yet it still lays gently on the bone. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll be working my way through these beef ribs. See you guys in the next one. Cheers.